will assist in some useful Excel skills when you have a new or a data set that you haven't maybe seen before. So I'm just going to show you a few useful aspects of Excel, how to keep the original data in the order that you get it, adding a metadata sheet, adding a pivot table, and the use of autofilter. So first of all, this is my data. It's actually called EH survey data. It's an Excel file. So I'm just opening it on this. This is what maybe I've been given. So what do I want to do? There's obviously a lot of data there. One thing you can do is to scroll along, and there you can see at the top up here is my columns. So you can see there's many columns in this data. In fact, it goes all the way through to K. It's a very large file. Variables from the survey. What I'd like to do is, first of all, to put in an order column. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to say insert. So you can come across here to your Excel, insert a sheet column. Simple as that. And what I'm going to do is just call this order. So this is the order that the data came in, and if you do this first before you do anything else, there's no chance of you having any difficulty. So what you can do in here, if you've given it the title order, I take these two and I just copy down. And as I pull the corner down, I'm going to take it all the way down to the bottom of the file. And you can see 898. Right. So the column next to it is actually ID. That's this ID. So now I've got this as an order. And the other thing you might want to do is to save the file. So you've been given a bare bones file. So save as, and then just give it a new name. So I might call this data test, so that we're not changing anything in our original file. So another thing I can do, if I wanted to know, at the top here you can see I've got names or column titles. I can just highlight that by clicking on that top line, highlighting it. Then I can go into copy, which is this one. I can say copy, click on here. Then I can go into a new tab, and I've already called this metadata. I'm going to go into the top left corner, and I'm going to do paste, but don't click too soon. You're going to do paste special, because you're going to transpose it, which means it's going to go drop down. And when I say OK, it drops those down there, including the order. So this is order of original data. And we don't really know yet what all these things are. That's okay. We can sort of see there might be a month, there might be a year. We've got village, province. Some of these might be, I guess, province, region, district, longitude. If I do a Control C for that whole block, I can actually copy that over because they're fairly self-descriptive. Now the other thing is, if I want to add a row in here, I can go up and say insert row, insert sheet row, and then this is the column name, remember, and this is a description. Now, if I was working with someone as a consultant or in a big project, it might be useful for us to have this, and we all know what we're talking about. So if we talked about this DST seed, we all know what that particular variable is. So that's one of the reasons you do this metadata. And this hasn't been done for this particular data. I have been given the survey, but these names would have to be correctly identified with the particular survey question, and even the particular part of the question, or something like that. So that's what we can do. I'm not going to dwell on that, but that just gives you a couple of really tips. So the first one is to add your order in. Second is to add in a metadata file which you can work on, and hopefully if you're working in a team, this will be something you can keep. You're keeping with this with the data. When you've saved this, then you have got this saved alongside. And what I'm going to do next is to show you, this is a little bit advanced, but I think it's worth knowing early on and trying to learn a little bit more yourself on this. So let's just add a pivot table. So I'm going up here and I'm going to say insert, okay? And then over here, there's a, if you highlight that and it drops down, it says it will summarize data using a pivot table. I'm just going to click on that and it will ask you, choose the data you want to analyze. So I want to select all of the data, and you'll see that this is highlighting, or it's surrounded by a dotted line that's highlighted, flashing. That's highlighting all my data. And I'm going to say that my pivot table is going into a new workshop. Say OK. And this is what happens. You see that there's this little area here, and over on the right, you've got the pivot table field list. This is actually all of the, I'll just drop this down a tiny bit so you can see it. Over here, there's a scroll bar. So for instance, I would think that probably this is year. So I don't know much about this data. I'm going to put year down here. So you pick it up, pop it into the row, and you'll see what happens. It's very interactive. Here's my 2 years. I've actually got 2 years, 2011 and 2010. And then I might go to myself and think, okay, well, maybe I'd like to look at this by province. So let me take the province and I'll drop that down in my column. And let's look what happens over here. In this data, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. In fact, there's a grand total, but we've got 8 provinces in this data. Yes, that just gives you a very quick idea of what you might expect to see in the data. Now, I'm just going to pop down and see if I can see anything that I think might be useful. I might take this one as household size. So what I might do is take that variable and pop it down here in the values. And so at the moment, if you look down the bottom corner here, it says sum of the household size. We don't actually want the sum. We probably need the actual, maybe we want the average of that. So at the moment, click on there. And I can say value field settings. So I might at this moment just say I want the average household size. Okay. And obviously then, instead of getting the total number of households, which might also be useful, this is giving me the average household size. Now this is just doing what we call exploratory data analysis, and you're doing this because you just want to get a nice feel for the data.